I'm not saying it's a cinematic masterpiece, but it might just be the movie we all need right now. Okay, everybody, today we're going all the way back to 1981 to look at a time when movies were cool and people had fun. Anyway, we're going to look back at a little gem, a little bit of movie car crashing or stunt, fucking whatever history. We're talking about the Cannonball Run. But before we go any further, before we dig into this gem anymore, once and again, and as always, to the trailer.
This is the story of an average guy and a beautiful girl.
Hi.
Don't tell me your name. I'll just call you Beauty.
You must be a sensitive person. I bet you're a fan of Rod McEwen's.
I try to be.
And his best friend.
I am Captain Chaos. Been a cop long?
And a family doctor.
Leash.
Come on right here.
And how they all set out one day in an ambulance from New York to California at 150 miles per hour.
California, here we come.
But they aren't the only ones. Because this is the Cannonball Run, America's illegal Grand Prix. And it doesn't matter how you get there. It's who gets there first. Burt Reynolds is the defending champion. On his team, Farrah Fawcett.
Are you one of those volleyballers?
Cannonball.
DeLuise, and Jack Elam. And here comes the competition.
Will you hurry up, you little...
Dean Martin.
We happen to be in a race.
Sammy Davis Jr.
You, Shorty. Where'd you get all that jewelry?
Take a left.
Mel Tillis and Terry Bradshaw. Jackie Chan. And Roger Moore as himself.
I'm Roger Moore. Roger Moore.
All of them. Reckless.
We're in kind of a hurry, so if you could just bless it and then we'll be back.
Unscrupulous.
Oh, I gotta bless her. Oh, I'm sorry, Father. She's a Zen Buddhist.
Desperate characters. By land, by sea, by air. They'll do anything, drive anything, say anything.
It's hard to understand you.
When I called you, I was doing 140 miles an hour.
And stop at nothing.
Normally I drive right around the speed limit.
We all make mistakes, miss. But 160?
To win the Cannonball Run.
Yeah, we're looking good.
Come on, faster!
Cannonball Run. The only movie to get over 200 tickets before it even opens.
That's Cannonball. Perfect.
This motion picture was directed by Hal Needham. He did a few other flicks, a couple that I've reviewed already. Let's go down memory lane. He did Hooper. He did The Villain, and Smoking the Bandit 1 and 2, and Megaforce, for what that's worth, and Stroke Race, and the Cannonball Run 2, for whatever reason, and Body Slam, and some other TV movies. He was really a stuntman, stunt coordinator, got in tight with Bertie Reynolds and all that kind of stuff, and wound up directing some of the coolest little car crash chase stunt movies of the 1980s, and this was definitely a stunt movie. Okay, everybody, now there is like 4 million people in this motion picture. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I'll get into more about why that is later on, but right now, we're going to kind of run through them. I'm not going to do the normal breakdown of spending 3-4 minutes on every person. No, way too long. So we're just going to do a flyby type of thing and check out everybody in it and just keep it moving really fast. Save on time, save on energy. Here we go. Of course, you got Burt Reynolds, who's been in things like Defiance and Smoking the Bandit, and Dom DeLuise, The End, History of the World Part 1, and Farrah Fawcett, Saturn 3, Charlie's Angels, Sammy Davis Jr., Rat Packer himself, the guy was brilliant, singing, dancing, did it all. Dean Martin, Rio Bravo, Airport, another Rat Packer. We got Jackie Chan, Rumble in the Bronx, Rush Hour, Jamie Farr, come on. Klinger, MASH, that's all you need to know. Jackie Elam, come on, man. Every Western ever known to man. And, of course, the creature from Black Lake. And Mel Tillis, the stuttering singer himself. Terry Bradshaw, Pittsburgh Steelers when the Steelers were great. And Adrienne Barbeau, The Fog, An Escape from New York. And Burt Convy, come on, Hero at Large. He was on TV for everything. He was even going to be a game show host. Didn't work out. He passed away early. It is what it is. Alfie Wise popped up in a lot of these movies with the old Burt Reynolds we're talking about. He was in Hooper and Smoking the Bandit. And Tara Buckham, she was in things like Extra 2 and Silent Night, Deadly Night. And Peter Fonda, get the fuck out of here. Future World, Easy Rider, Valerie Perrine, Mrs. Tasmaka, Superman, Slaughterhouse-Five. And you got Robert Tessier from Hard Times, The Deep, The Longest Yard. And George Furth, Blazing Saddles. Dr. Detroit guy was funny as hell. One of my personal favorites from this motion picture, Roger Moore himself, Folks, and James Bond. And there's other people in this thing, like Jimmy the Greek and Bianca Jagger and Jimmy Hune and stuff like that. So there's so many faces in this thing. It's almost ridiculous. It's almost watching it just for the thrill of saying, hey, who is it? Who's going to pop up next? It's that kind of a thing. It's awesome. It's fun in and of itself just for that. Okay, everybody, we're going to do this in 90 seconds or less, so I can keep it short, keep it fast, keep it entertaining, keep it moving, so we can get to it. We'd much rather be the summation, and I think this plot could probably actually be done in 90 seconds or less. You got these two guys, and they are entering the cannonball race. One JJ and his buddy Victor. Well, they're out there testing their brand new, zammed up, whatever it is. I think it's a Porsche, whatever. And they crash it day one. So the next few scenes of the movie is them just discussing what they're going to do, what they're going to replace it with. They're out there flying airplanes, which they just happen to land in the middle of the street to pick up some beers. They are out there on a power boat, which they crash into another goddamn boat, and they destroy themselves. And they're in an ambulance where they get the bright idea from the attendant that an ambulance can cut through traffic like shit through a goose. And man, it hits them all of a sudden. They say, we got to get an ambulance, we got to get a doctor, we got to get a patient. We are entering this race in this vehicle. Along the way, of course, you meet some of the other people that are in this thing. And you're seeing their little backstories. You're seeing, you got Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr. One's an old race car driver. One's like addicted to betting. You got all kinds of little cast of characters, and they're all converging on this one motel where all the cannonballers will get together and go on the cross-country 3,000-mile race from one side of this great continent to the other. So, who do they run in there? In the meantime, well, there's this guy, Mr. Foyt, and he hates automobiles. His job and his powerful dream is to get rid of all gas-powered vehicles on the planet. Wait a minute, this shit sounds a little bit too modern. Anyway, Mr. Foyt is kind of smitten with this young, kind of spacey chick who really likes trees, and her name is Farrah Fawcett. Ooh, yeah, beauty. Just the way it goes. Well, by hook or by crook, they find themselves a doctor who's a little bit bizarre. They find themselves a patient or a semi-kidnapper, if you want to look at it that point of view. And they all head out on this cross-country race to get from point A to point B. And basically, the rest of the movie is the little adventures that all the racers go on. And it's basically an excuse to have a bunch of stunts take place and see a bunch of fast cars go vroom, vroom. That's basically what the movie is. And then they all wind up in California, where the hell they're going. And they wind up on the other side of the country. And the whole point of the race is to have the race. And they're just doing it for fun. And there's, of course, a soft emotional moment between Beauty and between JJ. And, of course, the most important thing in the motion picture is that you get to see Captain Chaos on occasion, which is Dom DeLuise's alter ego, because he was picked on as a child, and he turns himself into a superhero to beat the shit out of people. It's cool. You have fights. You got Jackie Chan beating people up. It is what it is. The story is almost unexplainable because there isn't one. It just is the way it goes. Let's get going to the summation anyway. Okay, everybody. Does the Cannonball Run work? Yes! Yes, it does work. It's not much of a movie, really, in the conventional sense as you would think of one, but it does work. Let's get the big three out of the way, first and foremost. The directing? It looks fine. Hal Needham's done some other motion pictures that look good on camera. That's not an issue. He's a director that is basically there to get across action scenes. He knows how to shoot an action scene, maybe get some nice backgrounds thrown in there on occasion. It is what it is. The directing's good. The writing? I mean, come on. This is what it is. I don't even know how closely these people stuck to the script. I think they were just shooting a lot of shit from the hip, and however it turned out, it turned out. So, the writing, don't look for much. Don't expect a lot. But for this kind of motion picture, which is just a whatever, it gets the job done and you'll have some laughs. The acting! You have a bunch of seasoned pros in this. You have a bunch of really good actors. You have a bunch of people in this thing that ain't actors at all by any stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't really make a difference. This is one of those motion pictures where, honestly, I really think as long as the actor got their take out in one shot, it was good to go. The director said, wrap, cut, take it, we'll go. Literally, it's one of those things. You got your lines out, or something close to them, and he would just say, good enough, let's keep moving. It's that kind of motion picture. This is not On the Waterfront. This is not Apocalypse Now. This is one of those movies where he said it without fucking up. Cut, let's roll. Okay, let's get back on track to why this motion picture works. Simply because it delivers on all the things that it promised to deliver on. They know this isn't a real motion picture. They know this doesn't have some great plot, some incredible story, some incredible writing. They know that. That's a crock of shit, and they don't even try to hide behind it. What they do is they give you the things that they promise. They give you action, they give you stunts, and they give you laughs. They knew that going in. That's all they cared about delivering on, and they give it to you straight away. And number two, the other thing that makes this motion picture brilliant is the fact that the celebrities are basically lampooning their public images. Or maybe their personal, real-life images. Who the hell knows? But it doesn't make a difference. What they're doing is they are giving you an amplified version of themselves. Burt Reynolds in this thing isn't just the sweet, slightly womanizing guy who acts like he really has a heart of gold. He lays that thing on so much, so thick, that it's absolutely ridiculous. Dom DeLuise, he isn't just playing the happy-go-lucky, crazy, heavy guy. He overdoes it. Dean Martin isn't just playing his public image of being a womanizing, drunken guy. No, he amplifies it 400-fold and smacks you in the face with it, and it's friggin' brilliant. And my favorite one in the motion picture, by the way, who I think just is one of the saviors of this flick and literally delivers in mass. And that is Roger Moore, because Roger Moore is the only one really playing Roger Moore. Yeah, maybe he's supposed to be this guy Seymour impersonating whatever, I don't care. That doesn't mean anything, it's pointless. Roger Moore is being Roger Moore in this motion picture. He's called Roger Moore, he signs Roger Moore, he is Roger Moore. And what he does is he slams you over the face with that pompous, pretentious, somewhat British acting vibe that he would portray in movies, or maybe had. Who the hell gives a shit? I don't care. But he hits you in the face with it. His ego, his just self-importance, and it is hilarious. That scene when somebody's taking a picture of a family relative in the distance and he just says, could you please let the press know that I just do not want my picture taken? I mean, he makes himself the center of everything at all times, and it is friggin' hilarious. I'm going to tell you right now, that character that he's playing, or himself, or whatever you want to call it, I borrowed from so many times in my own personal life. There was times when there would be birthday parties or whatever, and literally I would give somebody an autographed picture of myself for their wall and signed, just so they would break up laughing like, what an asshole. And literally I got that from the Roger Moore character in this thing, because I thought it was funny, and I'm like, well, it'd be funny to do to somebody else, even if they're going to make fun of me. That's the point. And also, let's be honest, this harkens back to another time. This is just a bunch of bad boys that are basically decent guys that are just out to have a good time. And the hotter than hot women that surround and have fun with them. These were powerful, strong women, but they weren't afraid to be hot. And it was a look back at a period of time and an era that is probably never going to happen again in motion picture history, and you'll probably never again see on film. And if you watch this motion picture for the love of God, if you're easily offended, just don't even watch the goddamn thing. Honestly, you just aren't going to make it very far. This motion picture is loaded with humor that by today's standards is really going to strike some people the wrong way. Yes, Every joke in here is based on people's physical appearance, their nationality, their race, their religion, anything. All that kind of shit. It's just flying back and forth. People are goofing on each other, messing on each other, ripping on each other en masse about those very things. Kind of like you would get in a Mel Brooks movie or something like that. But the beauty of it is everybody's laughing with each other. Everybody's just ripping on each other. Nobody's taking it personal. Everybody's having a good time. Nobody's getting their ass in a knot just because somebody made some kind of a joke. And it was a look back at how society used to be. You have to go into this motion picture with the attitude of everything's funny. And we're all funny. And you have to be able to laugh at that. I mean, honestly, every one of us, me, you, everybody is somebody that can be laughed at. Look at me. I'm in my 50s. I wear a pirate earring, a black hat. I walk around in goofy t-shirts. I play in a rock band. That's pretty fucking funny if you ask me. And I guarantee if you look at yourself in the mirror, you'll be able to laugh at yourself too. And say, you know what? That's okay. Because we're all wacky in our own way. And if you go into life with that kind of a mentality, you're a little bit better off. And also, one thing that can never be overlooked in this motion picture is the ending credits at the end. When they truly let you in and let you watch the making of the motion picture. And you get to see literally the outtakes, the flubbed lines, the mistakes, the goofy shit. That was one of the things that I swear to you, this might sound crazy, but at the time when that thing used to rotate on HBO and everything like that, people would literally go into the house just to see the end of the motion picture so they could watch the flub lines. They could watch the smacks between Burt Reynolds and DeLuise. They could watch all the ways that these guys would clown around behind the scenes and how they're barely getting their lines out. They showed you that. I don't remember any motion picture doing that beforehand. So here you got literally all the outtakes smacking you in the face, showing you the behind the scenes shit. And literally, if you turned on that motion picture back in the day and there was like 5 minutes left, everybody said, no, I gotta watch the credits. I gotta watch the credits. I gotta watch the credits. And you'd see them over and over and over again just to see these people making the movies and laughing their ass off and screwing up their shit. It was almost as important as the motion picture itself. Everybody watched it. Everybody loved it. It was friggin' hilarious. Now, other problems with this motion picture? Of course there are. Logic be damned. This movie makes no goddamn sense whatsoever. By any stretch of the imagination, really, on any front. I mean, one of my favorite film gaffes of all time is that Terry Bradshaw and Mel Tillis, they want to paint their car, so if they can't recognize it in the race, they leave with a Malibu, they come back with a Monte Carlo, and it's supposed to be the same car. You're like, what? How did that even happen? And things like, the race is timed. It's a timed race. And yet, somehow they're all running to be first at the finish line when it doesn't make a difference who gets to the finish line first. It's about time. So there's no realistic logic to this thing at all in any stretch of the imagination. It doesn't exist. Don't look for it. Don't even crave it. You go into this thing laughing for just the simple fact that it's a bunch of people making fun of people that hated cars and whatever, and they're just having fun. They deliver stunts. This movie's got some great stunt work in it. It's got some great driving in it. You get to see some of the cool cars of the time. But there's things in it that make no sense. Like the one person in there, they're driving across country doing a wheelie because the guy playing the wife in the backseat of the motorcycle is chubby, so he can't put the front wheel down. It's just dumb. Landing an airplane in the middle of a town square just to pick up beers, it's just dumb. There's things in here that make no sense. But again, it's for laughs, it's for stunts, and it's for action. And for looking at some of the hottest chicks on the planet at the time. I mean, Jesus Christ, you got Farrah, Fawcett, Adrienne, Barbeau, you got a whole bunch of... Woo! Anyway, do yourself a favor. I'm sure you've seen this motion picture. Go watch it again one time just for giggles. Literally, the best way to watch this motion picture is with a group of friends and a group of people. Watching it by yourself, you might go back and say, oh, that's cute. That's funny. But really, you need to get like 4, 5, 6 people together, and hopefully 1 or 2 of them are the ones that have never seen this thing. And you just watch this motion picture, and you have yourself a bunch of laughs. At a way people used to be able to joke with each other, at times when the men were allowed to be men. My God, the women were allowed to be women. And you can look back and enjoy it and have yourself a stroll down memory lane, compare it to modern times and say, wow, things are Kind of funnier back then. And then you can sit there and enjoy it and laugh and talk about it later and just have yourself a couple hours of pure fun, pure escapism, and pure stupidity, actually, because that's all this motion picture is pure stupidity. And by the way they start off the motion picture with a 20th Century Fox thing and a cartoon cop chasing a cartoon Burt Reynolds car, and it hits it with the laugh. From the minute they start this thing, they're letting you know, don't take this for real. Don't take this serious. We're just going to get a bunch of celebs and friends together. We're going to make a goofball flick. We're going to bring all our stuntman buddies in, and we're here to entertain you. Not to hit you with life, just to entertain you. All right, everybody, be good. Take care. Stay out of trouble. Be there for a friend. Always be kind to a stranger. But most of all, and most importantly, never, and I mean never, take any bullshit from anybody. See you soon.